You ready? Here we
Yep.
go. From Connor.
Hi, Mover, Gonky, and probably Wombat. I'm a big
Dude.
fan of the show, and I love listening to you guys. And this is a question for Gonky. I'm considering a career in naval aviation, and I was wondering what would the typical ground jobs you would be doing in the Navy, both on deployment and on land when you're not flying. Thank you for answering this question. Keep up the good work.
What was his name again?
Connor.
Connor, great question. There's a lot of jobs. If you're a single seat guy, you got more jobs, and your jobs follow you. So if you have, if you're the skedzo, the coffee mess officer, snacko, Air Force speak, when you're on shore, you'll be that out on cruise. So basically, the way they do it in the Navy is they give you the more meaningless jobs when you're new, and then the ones that obviously require more responsibility as you get older. So typically when you're new, you're planning parties, you're ordering cups, you're doing the schedule, and then obviously you're studying and getting all your quals. When you become senior, the good jobs are you're in charge of a maintenance department under the maintenance officer. So the more senior you get, the less jobs you have, but the more important they are. Single seat squadron, you're going to spend a lot of time doing your ground job, which is good because then you really understand how the whole squadron works, and you can definitely get appreciation for. We used to say the squadron lives and dies by the maintenance, which was true. You don't have up airplanes, you ain't flying. So that's kind of the quick and dirty. If you're in a 2-seat squadron with more people, there's less ground jobs just because there's more people to handle the work. And I'm not being biased when I say that. That's the honest to God truth. So single seat is probably the toughest because you're definitely going to have more than one job at any one time. But I don't know, Mover, you were in 204. Did you have more than one job at any time?
Let's see. I did OPSO tour, safety department head.
I just had one job. I was a safety. I was the assistant safety, which is even better.
You're the assistant to the regional manager. Yeah,
pretty much.
So what I wanted to point out, because you mentioned Snacko, and Deuce, you can back me up on this, because I was the worst at this. I was great financially for the Snacko because I was like, we're going to make so much money for the Snacko with air shows and t-shirt sales and stuff. Like I had a surplus, but as far as being a Snacko, I was a terrible Snacko.
It's not.
And here's what I'll say to that. Well, no. And when I showed up, I just wanted to be in weapons and learn about flying and kill people, break their things. And I was like, this is a haze. I don't want to do it. And looking back, and even not too far after that, you realize that it's not about the Snacko. It's about showing that you take everything seriously and that you are a hard worker and that you can play ball. And so my advice is don't be mover. Any job you are given, 110%. Even if you think it's stupid, even if you think you don't like it, even if you just want to fly airplanes and do everything to be the best fighter pilot in the world, even if it seems like it's unrelated, go do that. And the same thing in the Navy. Like when I was younger, the idea of being a maintenance officer made me like, oh God, I just want to be flying. As an older dude now, I think that is probably one of the coolest jobs you can have because you get to directly lead motivated, young enlisted, senior enlisted. You get to be a part of the blue collar force that actually make the squadron go. And it wasn't until later in my career that I realized that you need an appreciation for that and that I was not where I should have been as a young lieutenant.
Well, what you realize real quick when you go down and start talking to the maintainers, they're very young. 18 to 25. They're actually, similar in age because you're in your early 20s. And it's pretty obvious that, officers don't come down here much, that kind of, at least where I was at. Right. So I always made it a point to go down and just hang out with them because they were young guys and gals, like me. We're all interested in basically the same stuff. So it really helps with camaraderie and just, uniting the squadron. And to pony up on what you said, Mover, in the Navy, you definitely don't want to get fired because you're not doing your ground job. correctly. I mean, yes, as my training officer told me when I first got there, taxpayers pay you to be a fighter pilot. But my fit rap, or what's it called in the Air Force again? OPR.
OPR. Now it's an OPB.
Whatever.
They changed it again. It's OPB. That's the thing I was trying to show you earlier.
My yearly report card has a whole bunch of other stuff on it other than being a fighter pilot. So it does matter. And like you said, it's more a reflection of your work ethic. You know, are you gonna carry your weight, basically? You know, because someone has to do this stuff.
Yeah, you have to be well-rounded, even if you don't like it, and you have to be willing to take the challenge, but you also don't want to be the douche. Like Deuce says, don't be a douche. You don't want maintenance to not like you. If you have no one else that likes you, at least have maintenance to like you, because they're the ones that are breaking their backs, sweating, putting all the effort to give you a flyable jet that you're going to go break. And you just don't want to, because you just don't want to be like, there was no bigger honor for me than when I did my Affinity flight at VFA 204 and all of maintenance lined up to salute me as I taxied out. Like, dude, they don't just do that unless they appreciate you. So, Deuce, I'm sorry. What's your take on this?
Which part?
The whole thing, ground jobs, any taxes, death. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
No, I was just going to pipe in for the whole part with maintenance is that, you know, if you can give them perspective for what they're working their asses off for and the reasons why they're doing what they're doing and why you're asking for things like config changes, if you can help educate them on the why, like they will like move mountains to like give you airplanes to fly. Like it's pretty impressive. So
take a few minutes to learn your crew chief's actual name and take a few minutes to talk to your crew chief and tell them what you're going to do. I mean, it seems simple, but the level of bonding that you get from that and the, hey, we're on the same team, same fight, you know, because just like anything else, just like you can have levels of work for your ground job, but they can have levels of work. I'm not saying anybody would shirk their responsibilities, but you get a lot more done if everybody's pulling same way, same day. You okay, Deuce? Okay. He'll be back.
yeah, my little buddy came downstairs to say hi. But yeah, giving them that perspective, I think is huge. So
yeah.